It did.
Okay, I think it's working. Okay, hi everybody. I'm Kira Whiteway, and this here is my lovely friend Christine Toma.
Yep.
Toma.
Got it.
Christine and I actually met at the gym. Oddly enough, we have been going to a mutual gym for just over a couple of years now. And she's actually a physiotherapist, so I've really taken a liking to Christine. We met over a little story that she told me, and she blew me away. She's extremely fit. She's extremely knowledgeable. She runs her own physiotherapy business, which I have been watching her since she started. We started to connect, which was, I guess, about 2 years ago. Is that right?
Wow, really that long?
I think it's been that long, which is
Yeah.
actually crazy. She hired me to do a little bit of a demo for her because she does a lot of work with her stretching bands, but she does her physiotherapy business and helps so many people with it. And I just wanted to actually interview her a little bit and get her feedback on how to best today, anyways, specifically to prevent neck and back injuries, because it's just, I talk about this all the time. It's so extremely important to have your mind muscle connection, and it's this exact same situation when it comes to form. We really want to ensure that we are preventing injury at every single step of the way, especially when exercise is new to you, or if you have a previous injury. Then it's extremely important to make sure that you're doing these exercises correctly. You're engaging the right joints, you're engaging the right muscles. So I'm going to turn it over to Christine, have her introduce you, or herself, I should say, to this amazing group. And then we're going to get started with a little bit of details on how we can best prevent some injuries that we want to talk about today. So Christine, who are you?
I'm Christine.
Yeah.
I'll give you a little bit about my life story in a nutshell, because I want you to know, everyone that's watching, I want you to know that if you have pain, I have it too. And it's possible to overcome it. It's possible to do things despite the pain. Back in 2003, when I was 19 years old, I had a huge traumatic car accident. I shattered this entire side of my face, and it was reconstructed. I've got 4 metal plates and a metal sheet under my eye. And then I had to have like a jaw surgery 10 years after that, where I couldn't chew for 15 months. And then I've got this huge scar on my arm. I basically severed my arm, everything, blood, except for the blood vessels. So it was like ligaments, tendons, nerve. There's 3 joints. All the joints were dislocated. I fractured here at my wrist. And then back in 2016, I was pregnant, 9 months pregnant with my son, walking through a parking lot and got hit as a pedestrian.
Crazy.
Sprained my pelvis really, really badly. So needless to say, like I'm a bit of a wreck. I've got the jaw pain, the neck pain, the back pain, the pelvic pain. And because I'm a physio and I know exactly how to train, in what ways I'm able to get through a lot of that.
Were you a physiotherapist before this happened, Christine, or after?
Well, in 2003, I had just finished first year university.
Right.
So going through my own physio experiences like led me into the field. But that was like, I still had 3 years to go, and then I went into do my master's.
So it was already a passion of yours. It's just kind of accelerated the whole process.
Yeah, exactly.
You had more of a why.
So I've worked in orthopedics, which is muscles, bones, joints. I've worked in several clinics actually in Seattle, where I moved and I lived for 7 years. And then after my jaw surgery, I had a lot of movement restrictions. So I started working for the university where I was teaching in the physiotherapy program. So I was an appointed teaching associate there. And then I had a baby and decided to move back to Canada so that the grandparents can have grandchildren and grandchildren can have grandparents. So I'm back here, and that's when I started my business, which was about 3 years ago. So that gives you a history about me. So I just want you to know I feel your pain if you have it, but I'm here to help you work through it.
And she's already taught me, like, actually, when we're talking about core specifically, because clearly one of our major focuses in the group is core training, but she's taught me even the small little tip that she had given me when we met a few months back, obviously before quarantine, but it was just to make sure that you are engaging the inside of your core has made a profound difference on less impact on my lower back, and just has really brought a lot more consciousness to that area. So she's going to provide you with some tips today. And I love her. She's an amazing person and obviously a successful business owner. And I mean, she's friggin' beautiful. You would never know that she's got metal in her face because she's gorgeous, but I will let her continue. So I'm going to ask you, number one, when patients come to you, do you find that these injuries are self-inflicted, or are they more or less something that they've maybe experienced, like an accident? Like, how do they normally come into your practice?
You know what? A lot of times it's insidious, where they just don't really know, because it happens through like chronic movements or faulty movement patterns. And then especially when you get into a fitness routine, like it's one thing to have faulty alignment, but then to add weight to the faulty alignment or like high repetitions, that's where injury is created, because you're straining certain areas more than you should. And that's why alignment and muscle balance is so crucial. Most of the time it's just, it seems like it's a wear and tear type of thing, or that desk or office worker that has the poor posture, that kind of thing. Of course, I do see, like, I was playing soccer and I heard a pop type of thing.
Yeah, I hear you. Or less, it's just kind of, I don't want to say negligence, but it's just less awareness of how your body is really mechanically supposed to be moving. Okay.
And me in particular, I do specialize in chronic pain because I have chronic pain.
Right.
So a lot of times it's that what I'm saying is like just repetitive movement creating pain.
I think it's important to ask you, Christine, like, how do you overcome that pain? Is it specifically through your physiotherapy, or, I mean, I don't know if you mind sharing, but like, do you have to take medications at certain points if it's unbearable? Like, how do you sort of, combat that in your life?
Well, personally, I'm a huge naturalist, so I try and avoid medications at all costs. Having said that, there's times where I need it, and there's nothing I can do about that, especially when it comes to my jaw pain.
Right.
But in terms of neck and back, I can most of the time manage it through certain stretches, positioning, rest, certain stability exercises. Those help a ton. Yeah.
Okay. So what would you recommend? Like, say somebody has a neck injury, or they're, maybe they have chronic stress in that upper neck region from working at a desk, or, I mean, maybe just a stressful lifestyle, but how would you help them? Like, how would you recommend them to do? I know we're going to link up the exercises underneath, but what kind of mind awareness can you bring for them?
So I would do a postural assessment to see what their alignment is. Ideal alignment would be where your ear is in line with your
shoulder.
Yeah, like the tip of the shoulder there.
Okay.
Some people, like, depending on race as well, like Asians tend to have too much of a flat back and they actually need curvatures. Most other ethnicities have too much curvature, where we see this.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So like if you're like this, and then even if you're just doing a sit up and you're pulling your neck forward, well, that's going to create pain. Or if you have the barbell on your shoulders like this and you're doing a squat, well, that's going to, exacerbate the issues. Okay. So I would start with a postural screen, and I can identify muscle balances just by looking at someone. So if I look at them head on and from the side and from the back, I can list what's going on.
Okay. And body language is key.
Yeah. It works when I'm watching TV, because I can't help but analyze actors.
That's like when you find something new for the first time, then all of a sudden that's all you see all over the place.
Like, people watching at the mall or whatever. Like I'm constantly looking at the way people walk, or anyway. And
that's amazing. So when you're like, let's say they're doing a squat and they do have that, bar on the back of their shoulder, is it best for them to think about like rolling their shoulders back and down?
No, and that's the problem. That's the advice that most trainers give, and it's just not the right advice.
Okay.
We're not trying to pinch the shoulders back, because what we're looking at is, for neck and shoulders are really closely related, so you can't weed them out from each other.
Okay.
Because the muscles of the neck, they start on the vertebrae of the neck, most of them.
Okay.
And then they attach to the shoulder blade.
Right.
And some to the first rib or whatever. So let's say if my shoulders drop too low, which is the case for most people, those muscles are on constant stretch. And there is a length tension relationship in the muscles where muscles work by cross bridges. So it's like this, you contract the muscle, it goes like this, you release, it goes like this.
Okay.
So they have an optimal length. If they're at the perfect length, then they can generate the best force. A muscle that is over lengthened, so the cross bridges are like this, it just can't generate that force. And that's the case where that's the resting state of most of our muscles. And what ends up happening in those over lengthened muscles is they feel tight, first of all. So we try and stretch and stretch and stretch, making it worse.
Okay.
But second of all, it starts to fill in with fibrotic tissue. So you like feel around and you feel this bump and you're like, oh, I'll get that knot out. But that's fibrotic tissue because you're weak in those muscles, right? So the thing is, I teach people how to activate. I'm gonna show you here. It's because I don't see, but this would be like core activation, okay, where my shoulder blade is sticking out. And then if you see from the front, my shoulders dropped.
Okay.
If I activate properly, so this, can you see?
Yeah.
This point goes out to the side. It's not a pinch in. It's not a pinch back like we're
pinch out.
It's this is going out to the side, and my back is now flat. My shoulder blade is flat on my back. And if you could see that from this angle, now it's low, not activated. Now it's high. So now I put those muscles on a better length tension relationship. I put stability to the shoulder, stability to the neck.
Okay.
And then you could do the exercises.
So if somebody has like, which is amazing, actually, it's a great tip. If somebody has like a sore neck now, how would you recommend that they, because I'm thinking about all these times where I've had that, I always have it in my left side.
Yeah.
And I always thought it was like a reoccurring injury, but then I'd be like, oh yeah, like rub it out, Steve, like as hard as you can. So how would you avoid that? Like, how do you make it better by?
Yeah, this is not an easy thing to learn.
Yeah, for sure. Is it more rest though? Like instead of kind of, massaging and stretching and.
Yeah, those things are very, very temporary. It's not addressing the root issue. The root issue is the muscle imbalance. Okay. So I spend time teaching people how to do that. I have made a few videos trying to break this down that I will post on my Instagram soon. Okay. But basically, there's a muscle called serratus anterior. We have to uptrain. We have to figure out how to activate that before you can correct that movement. I usually spend time teaching people one-on-one in my sessions, and that's how they learn. Because you've got to be able to activate it, but then hold it for arm movements, however it would go. Biceps would challenge it the most, holding it and then doing a bicep curl because they do opposite actions to the shoulder.
Where would that area be? Is it the same one you were just teaching us how to activate it out, or is that?
Yeah, it's a muscle. It's like right under.
Okay.
Right under here. It's called serratus anterior. I can get a visual of it to post later. But the other thing, so that's one aspect of it. Like that's the neck shoulder pain here. But then if you have neck pain like at the back, that's kind of a different issue. Like here.
Right.
It's play together because if you have the shoulder issue, more than likely your thoracic spine or upper spine is curved, which means your cervical spine is going to be curved the opposite way. I am exaggerating the movements for you guys to see. People that have exaggerated curves it doesn't always look obvious, but because the vertebrae or the spine is a collection of joints, it's 24 joints, we tend to move through some more than others. Okay. So that includes the neck. In the neck, there's 7 vertebral segments. We're going to move at some segments more than others. And typically we find that around C4, 5, 6, which is the middle to the bottom. We move too much through here. And so one easy remedy for that is thinking about making a double chin. I know we don't feel really good as women making double chins.
Yes. I'm trying over here.
But
Okay.
it's not a look down. You're keeping your eyes at the horizon and literally just pressing your chin in a little bit, like 50%, and just holding
Feel
it.
that. Okay.
If I show you from the side, like
Yeah.
this is not doing a chin tuck. This is.
Okay.
So
And that's going to activate the other few of the vertebrae in the neck that we don't just necessarily activate.
it will help, yeah.
Okay.
It's gonna lock. It uses these short neck flexors to provide stability,
Okay.
so that when you're looking up, especially, you're not just using the higher segments.
Right.
You're gonna use like different segments than you're used to. So
Okay.
locking this down, and especially, I don't know why trainers always tell you not to tuck your chin when you're doing sit-ups. I think it's the worst advice ever. But when you're doing sit-ups, I think if you tuck the chin, you're turning off this big muscle here called sternocleidomastoid. It's this guy right here, where
Okay.
you see that bulge out in a lot of people. If you turn that off, that in itself will relieve a lot of pressure on the neck.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I would say, like, the two main keys here are keeping the chin back and then trying to activate that serratus anterior, which I'll have to
Yeah. So is there certain core exercises where in fact you would want to not have your chin tucked, like you're saying, or are all of them, like even if you're planking and stuff like that, would you want?
Yeah, in my opinion, it should always be tucked, because you want it, if it's not, you're not keeping your neck in neutral. We're trying to provide stability to the spine, right?
Sure.
And to provide stability, you've got to, like, these are stabilizing muscles right under the chin.
Okay.
So you've got to activate them.
So I have one more question. So is there any specific things that you can recommend to our viewers where it would naturally, or of course with movements like you're teaching us here, relieve stress in that upper back region and the neck? Or is it specifically, just training on the chin tuck that you're talking about and ensuring that you are engaging the back of your shoulder, I guess, right? So is there...
Last week on my Instagram page, I did a whole series on thoracic mobility, thoracic is the upper back region.
Mm-hmm.
And that, because the spine it's all one, right? Like it's separate sections, but it's all one. And so a curve in one area influences a curve in another. Thoracic mobility and extension, so being able to extend through that upper back, is so important for the neck. And will relieve a lot of neck stress.
Okay.
You could see, hold on, let me stand. If you could see, like, if I'm in thoracic flexion, okay, or posture here, see what happens to my neck.
Right.
It's going forward and it's bending.
And it's like a C shape almost, right?
Yeah, because I have to be able to see my horizon, right? If I just follow the curvature, I'm going to be looking at the floor all the time. So I look up, and that creates this overuse of the neck. If I straighten now, okay, I'm going to keep this posture. I'm just going to straighten through the thoracic spine and see what automatically happens to my neck. It's with it. So, and thoracic exercises are an easy, quick fix to relieve neck and shoulder pain, because the shoulder blades follow and the neck.
Okay. I've seen this before, and I'm not sure if I saw it on your Instagram or not, but when you're standing like against a wall and you're actually pushing your face or the back of your head towards the wall. Is that a similar stretch?
Yeah, and there's different ways to do it. My battery is running low. Let me grab my
okay, sure. So everyone, I mean, Christine and I met at Lifetime, we know her at the gym or whatnot, and we actually connected because I'm always watching what she's doing, but at the same token, I know she's extremely knowledgeable. And, as much of the information of training that I like to, say that I do have and that I can't offer you, this lady knows about joints, she knows about ligaments, she knows about prevention, which is so, so important when we're talking about properly training, because the worst thing that you can have, and I had one last week, was an injury. And it was very painful for me, and it took me a lot longer than ever before, and I was overtraining. So I want to make sure that you are, listening to these little tips from home, because at the same token, you can, she even said so herself, a lot of her clients are experiencing these injuries or this pain because they're just moving through life not in the right form, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's always so important to bring that awareness to how your body functions. And that's why, you know, I really flock to people like Christine, who's so extremely knowledgeable when it comes to this stuff, because it
It's
gets
so flattering.
it gets her burning. I know. She's not paying me to say anything. That's how I truly feel about her. So I think I have one more question. Is that, so when we do push our, you know, our head against the wall, is that similar to kind of what you're saying for that exercise?
Yeah. So
Okay.
there's various ways to do thoracic mobility exercises. They're all labeled on my Instagram, so you won't get confused. But I have someone sitting in and then laying on the floor and on the wall. I really like laying on the floor as like achieving neutral spine, and just spacing out the vertebrae so that you take pressure off the discs and the joints in the vertebrae. And the best way to do that is so easy. You just lay on the floor, like on a hard surface.
Okay.
Get your knees up at 90 degrees on the couch or a chair.
Okay.
And then keep your chin tucked in. And that's gonna really elongate the spine. The best is to do it like morning or evening. Evening especially, because after the weight of the day, like our joints compress and we're actually shorter at the end of the day than we are in the morning.
Interesting.
Isn't that cool?
That's crazy.
So try and relieve the pressure through the whole spinal column by just laying really flat on the ground. And then I like to have the arms up like this, because that's going to get a nice chest stretch and prevent the shoulders from coming forward.
Okay.
So just laying like that, how hard is that on the floor?
And no space in between the lower back and the floor, or space?
Well, naturally, you'll minimize that space just by having your knees up at 90 degrees.
Right, because it'll press it in. Okay.
Exactly, because and you could even have it if it's a stool or something, or a chair that's movable, you could have it so that your knees are higher than your hips.
Yeah, or your butt slightly under the chair kind of thing?
Exactly.
No? Okay, awesome.
Yeah. And that'll minimize that space even more.
Okay, perfect. I have one last question. So especially now, because we're in quarantine, and people will probably be doing a lot less, you know, active things because we literally have to stay inside of our house. Yeah. So say for instance, and you know, I'm not one of these people, but maybe some people sit on the couch for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a night or a day, right? So is there a specific, I guess, way that you recommend maybe they get up and they move around, or there's a specific way that they're actually sitting on that crappy couch or whatever the heck it is? Just let me know what you think for that. What do you recommend?
So, well, first of all, that will absolutely, even if it's an hour a day, that will absolutely play into pain, postural pain, especially neck, back, everything. So it is crucial. You know, we have to be able to get in and out of positions, and that's okay. But like, if you're mindful of your alignment, that's going to help quite a bit. The other thing is we really have to not be sitting that much. Yeah, it is so crucial. Every 30 minutes, we should be up and walking around. And it's easy, you know, if you're working, you could do exercises at your desk, or if you're watching TV, you can get up every 30 minutes and start doing some exercises.
Or
walk around.
Yeah, just movement.
Yeah, don't walk to the fridge. Go
right. Don't just walk around the kitchen, not to the fridge. Yeah. You can open the fridge, but don't get anything out of it.
Like, even as a PT student, when I was studying, you know, I'd get up and do jumping jacks or push-ups or whatever. Like, we can't be sitting that much. It really does create problems for our body. I have a post on work from home ergonomics on my Instagram account, and it'll tell you all the ways not to sit and all the ways to sit, the proper way to set up a work from home station. And I've gotten a lot of really good feedback about that. It does help quite a bit. So
I just sat up. I'm not sure if you noticed that. And I put my shoulders out, not up. Yeah. I love this. Okay, amazing, Christine. Well, you've been, as always, so informative. We are thinking about doing another one together because, I mean, knowledge is king, or queen. Queen, I prefer. But we're talking about knee joints on our next podcast. So we really hope that you join us. And honestly, I appreciate your time big time and your knowledge.
My pleasure.
I mean, it's amazing to hear somebody that knows so much about just how the body moves, and it's so informative. I've learned a lot, and even I'm not sure how long it's been, 20 minutes or so. But let's for sure connect again next week, Christine, because I think this is an excellent way to help people, and that's what we're aiming for here.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate your time.
It's
Thanks so much.
so much
Anything else to add?
No, just hit me with any questions that the group might have and I'll address them.
Amazing.
And,
Well,
and also, I do respond to direct messages on my Instagram all the time. So if there's any specific questions, either write it in the group or write me a direct message if you don't want to publicize it, no problem.
Follow her. She's incredible. Okay, girl, we'll talk to you soon and we'll see you next week.
Okay.
Have a good day. Bye.